because the medium is so unique, it also allows you to create art that's never been possible before, which is, in my opinion, a mix of the visual and the performance art.
Yeah. Yeah, the performance, that's really interesting. I think that's and this is when I get really nerdy, like the performance of the actual code, like the writing of the code and then the process of minting your piece, that performance, what you
The
can
performance
create.
of the collector, what they
Yes,
can do with
yes,
the art. Some
yes.
allow their collectors to interact with the art. Pack, shout out,
Yeah,
right? To write poetry.
yeah. Which shout out to
Costs a
which
lot of money to
project?
get there.
Wait, which project?
Pack,
Oh, oh. Yeah, yeah,
Lost
yeah.
Poets, you know,
Yes,
he mints
yes,
the beautiful story around it. You could
yes.
feed your poets pages. You could write
Yeah,
poetry.
yeah,
And look, I mean, you could argue with scale. Maybe it was a bit quick in terms of scale. Maybe you didn't need to make $91 million off of it in 70 minutes. But,
right.
it's, it is,
I wouldn't have said
it is
no.
the act. Yeah, exactly.
Let's
Right.
not pretend like
It's,
I would be so, um, you know,
oh,
uh,
I want to
uh,
make less.
heroic. Exactly. Like you can't blame all the opportunists. Good on them. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, I had a conversation earlier with a friend who had a conversation with a very high level artist, and the artist was very explicit in the fact that he said, "I look at every opportunity as to how it will benefit me."
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean that it's to the detriment of other people, but if it does not
Yeah.
benefit me, then I don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I don't share that mindset personally, but I think that's okay. And I think a lot of artists have that mindset.
Yeah, it's a dog eat dog world out there. It's interesting also when you say, you know, sure, this allows for a lot of artists to, or a lot of people to become artists and make money. I mean, I think Society 6 also kind of did that. Do you remember Society 6? Like way back in the day.
Mm-mm.
Um, what what I really think is also interesting about what the technology and what NFTs and just like allowing for digital ownership have done is there's a project called EAT Works, which is coming out of BetaWorks Incubation Lab. And they have collaborated with these like OG computer artists, people who were writing code and creating generative art in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And like, I met one artist who actually built that department, which who knew that computer arts was even a department at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago. And those artists, I think, are fine. They're still not really getting their moment because they're not on Twitter. They're not necessarily producing work that is what is of the moment. But the amount, like, as we, as consumers and collectors and individuals become more educated on like how difficult it is to actually produce that. We all think that we can create our NFT project. We have greater appreciation for what these original artists created, and they can use NFTs to finally have some of their work have value outside of a museum collection or a school collection, which would have been like buying an actual physical hardware or a floppy disk. Like I just can't imagine, what a computer artist in the 70s, how did they have any kind of collector? So it'll be
They
interesting to
didn't.
see. Yeah, I know exactly. That's why they like literally only
They
work with
might have been
academia.
animators. They
Yeah,
might have, like,
yeah,
a lot of the artists that I know in the space, that's where they were before this. They were either
yeah,
animating for corporate brands, or they were animating for shows,
yeah,
or they were pitching their own shows.
yeah,
And this just gave them the autonomy to not be at the behest of one person, but rather the whole market.
yeah.